My name is Clara Towson, and I'm a friend of the show.
Boom.
I am Francisca George, and I'm a friend of the show.
Perfect.
Hi, my name is Susan Leemans, and I'm a friend of the show.
Boom. Yeah.
My name is Zainab Summers, and I'm a friend of the show.
Boom.
Hey guys, my name is Sasha Vickery, and I'm a friend of the show.
Boom.
Hi, my name is Lloyd Harris, and I'm a friend of the show.
Perfect.
Hi, my name is Jasmine Paolini, and I'm a friend of the show.
Wow, Jasmine, you got it in one time.
Hello and welcome to what is the third round of 16 match taking place at the what is now effectively the Japan Indoor Championships with how many times the roof has gone on today. But we have a interesting contest today. I'm James, and you haven't seen me before, but a lot of you probably have, which is excellent. And we are cracking along as we enter this this part of the season where a few players that could be, jostling for positions in the rankings, trying to get themselves a good seeding position potentially for Australia, are going to be trying to make as many deep runs as possible. And here we have two players that certainly would like a deep run. One player in Artifice who would very much be liking to get himself back into the top 20, and very much be looking to potentially try and get a top 16. A top 16 ranking in the, or say top 16 ranking, but a top 16 seeding at the Australian Open. And of course, Matteo Berrettini, who, very much has had a fantastic summer, certainly on the European clay courts, picking up those two titles in Gstaad and Kitzbühel. Has had okay results on the hard courts, but probably would have liked some better things, but has certainly been given some horrors of some draws as they're going along. And we've got a Damien. How you doing, Damien?
Hi. Yeah, doing great. Let's catch this one. I don't know what you were talking about, but certainly pretty excited for this. I mean, yesterday feels, of course, a great win, and today just kind of has to buck it up, which isn't always easy for him.
No, it isn't. It's he's made a bit of a habit of getting big wins, certainly at the 500 level. I think that most memorable match in Hamburg against Zverev, winning it in the third set tiebreaker. But as you say, it's always that big question. After such a big win, are you able to back it up the next day against somebody who's just as a good player, but may have, certainly has weapons that can hurt you, and can you bring that level? I mean, for you, who would you favour in this match?
Berrettini is the betting favorite by actually a pretty significant margin. I think I was doing some sort of a write up on this, and I went fields in free or something like that. But yeah, I think it's pretty close. Arthur definitely has to serve very well just to keep up, basically. And yeah, if he plays like he did yesterday, I think he's done pretty well in the past against players with weaker backhands, like that Tsitsipas win in Antwerp. I think he's pretty good at targeting that. The only difference is that Berrettini has the slice and kind of can get out of the rally. But I don't know. After yesterday, I feel pretty confident that he will at least have a very good shot at winning this match. And I was chatting about this with Vanch yesterday as well. And I just mentioned that against Fritz, the biggest asset for Taylor in that matchup should have been the backhand exchanges, and Arthur was winning them. And that's indeed kind of where he's at his strongest, when he's beating these top guys, when the backhand is holding up. So if it's at the same level as yesterday, and especially against Berrettini, where he definitely will be winning these backhand cross-court trades, then yeah, I kind of like his chances, even though it's, a pretty quick court and everything.
Yeah, it's interesting because I was listening to, I think it was Jack and I think Ben as well made a small mention of it. That the with the roof on, it feels a bit more deader than it does do when the roof's off in this huge chasm of a stadium, and that kind of can make the ball feel a little bit slower than what maybe they would like or appreciate.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, I think the roofs in these huge venues definitely don't impact the game as much as they do in a usual indoor arena. Yeah. And indeed, sometimes they even make it slower. So that's good for fees if that happens. And well, today we are playing with the roof on, right?
Yeah, we are. It's I think I joked at the start just before you popped on saying welcome to the Japan Indoor Championships. With how often that roof has certainly been on.
As a matter of fact, I think there was one edition which was held indoors at a different venue, like
Really?
2019 or 2018, something like that.
Oh,
So,
wicked.
so that already happened. But yeah, I mean, obviously, yeah, the last couple of days they've kind of been struggling a little bit. But I don't know if you noticed, but even before this match came on, they also put one doubles match, but not like a full match, but just the super tiebreak, because they started
Yeah.
it on the other courts earlier and they just had to finish it. So that was pretty quirky as well for them to just go into a different arena and finish off the match.
I mean, it just shows that, although tennis, there generally tries to be a rule, which is if you start a match on one court, you want to finish that match on that one court because, for fairity of the conditions. But, in situations like that where you need to get through your doubles lineup because they're going to be on the outside courts where there are no roofs, if you got the time, whack it on the centre court. It gives the fans a little bit more tennis to watch if they're still in the building at that point. I must admit, I had a little bit of a small panic attack when I looked at the schedule quickly just to double check that it was 10 o'clock, and then I saw like these other doubles matches got put in place. I was like, "Hang on, how long is this going to take?" And then I went over to the live score to see that it was in the 10-point match tiebreaker. Or should we call it?
It was actually the same for me. Yeah, I noticed it on the schedule, and I was like, "Oh no, another doubles match! I mean, this will be like an hour later." And I for me, it was the sooner the better, really, when it comes to when this will start. And I was like, "No!" And then I realized that it's just the super tiebreak.
Yeah, we're going to go. Then it's sort of one of those things of trusting yourself to go to the live section to see that actually this match is about to finish. And I was like, "Oh, thank God." Yeah.
Yes, 2018, I just checked, was that indoor edition. It was held at a different venue then. I don't remember why. Maybe they were doing some, resurfacing here or whatever. Maybe they were rebuilding the arena. I have no idea. But yeah, 2018 was that one indoor
Am I going to
edition.
sound stupid? But am I going to be sound stupid from saying this? Was this arena also used for the Olympics in 21?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, it could be because of that. I suspect maybe move away quickly for a
Maybe.
year. Let them put some infrastructure in there for the Olympics and then go back a year later once that's all sorted. At least that's me trying to think of something.
That sounds realistic. I think it was, but let me double check just to be sure. It was definitely used for the Davis Cup on like 2 weekends ago, but I'm not sure about this. But I think it was the Ariake Coliseum or whatever it is.
Oh, we got
Ariake Tennis Park.
Yeah. Totally. Feast has tried to imitate probably his countryman idol One Feast there with a jumping smash winner.
Zizou Bergs, maybe Pete Sampras. Depends from which era of tennis you are. Then you have your own jumping smashes, I guess. Of course, Pete Sampras, I've only seen on replays, but Zizou Bergs is kind of the one that's synonymical for me.
Yeah, didn't he qualify for Beijing, Zizou? I'm just trying to remember. Oh, by the way,
he
hi,
lost
Matt.
To Musetti today. He lost to Musetti today.
Oh, he lost to Musetti today. Oh, okay. Yeah, Zizou's one of those ones which I've been watching that I'm just like, I know he's had some really bad luck with injuries. He's a bit like Jack Draper in terms of bad luck with injuries. But he's just one person that I feel like he's going to have a big breakthrough at one point. Zizou.
Yeah, the last couple of years, definitely. Whenever he got going, it wasn't another injury. But of course, this year he's made the jump to the main tour. Now it's kind of just all about sticking. And so far, he's not really doing all that great. I think matches like this, Musetti, it's very winnable for him on a court like this. But yeah, he still has some time, of course.
Matthew here is asking a good question, which is, well, first of all, thanks for saying good morning, Matthew. And then also saying good win for the Brits, Katie and Jack. It was the two British number ones got victories today. Can you tell me who they are playing next and how long do you think they may go? Well, bizarrely, actually, because their opponents haven't been decided yet because they've still got to play. But Katie could play, I think, either Burrell or Goff, probably Goff, in her match. And then Jack, it will either be Vanch's number one Steve, the guy, which he'll shout about to the nth degree, Brandon Nakashima, or it will be Ugo Umber. But they're playing after Feast and Berrettini today, so we'll know who they're playing. But certainly looking at the Tokyo draw, and I don't know what you think on this, Damien. It's very wide open, and I could see a Jack Draper going and winning the tournament. Just looking at the players that are certainly left and potential matchups that could take place.
This was a pretty insane rally, by the way. I don't know how far ahead I am, but
I'm at 15:30.
Okay, I mean, there's gonna be a rally that's just gonna keep going and going and going and going, and we're gonna kind of see how fields can either hit through that Berrettini slice or not. But yeah, Tokyo, I mean, is just wide open. I think we were talking about this as well at the beginning of the week, that like Beijing is just a Sinner Alcaraz thing. Like one of them loses, everyone is going to be expecting the other to claim the title. Whereas Tokyo, yeah, I mean, it's so much more exciting to me because no one knows what's going to happen. And yeah, the top 4 seeds have been eliminated. So I think everyone in the draw really has a very good shot at doing something here. Tommy Paul is now the highest ranked player left in the field. I think there's only one more seed maybe left as well, or something like that. So
I think I had a little look. So you say Tommy Paul's the 5th seed is still there. I believe also Holger Rune as the 6th seed is still in the competition, and Ben Shelton as the 8th seed.
Shelton, the defending champ. Yeah, so 3 seeds. You're right. Yeah, but basically, the top 4 have been eliminated.
But the fact that, like you say, Feast beating Taylor yesterday, Hurkacz being beaten by Draper today, Rude getting beaten, all the other seeds as well, Tsitsipas that all fell by the wayside. I mean, when I was listening onto commentary early this morning, as I was just like bleary-eyed, just waking up and trying to compress all the results that were taking place. One of the things they were saying is that certainly at these 500 events, if you're a top seed, you need to be on it from the first couple of rounds, because you could draw yourself a top 20 player in that first or second round who's going to want to take you out. And it's not as though you're going to have a couple of matches to be able to get into a tournament. You've got to be on it straight from the get-go. And we see in Tokyo, certainly seen in Tokyo, that if you're not on it from the get-go, absolute destruction can take place at the number of seeds, and it can be blown wide open as it has done.
Yeah, I mean, for sure. It's a very weird system. Like when you compare it to the WTA, where in 500s, like you don't, in 250s we have buys, in 500s we don't on the ATP side. On the WTA it's different for whatever really the reason is. This, despite these 500s being so strong on the WTA, but even on the ATP here, yeah, I think obviously Fields getting Fritz, or rather the other way around, Fritz getting Fields in the opening round, maybe not a top 20 player, but very recently a top 20 player. The same with Sinner getting Jari in the opener. And yeah, just having to play 5 matches against this sort of quality, certainly it's going to be very tricky. I think last year Tokyo was held at a different date, and even though it was not clashing with Beijing, it definitely had a weaker lineup than this. Beijing, though, on the other hand, last year was just insane because, again, it did not have that competition from Tokyo, and it was before Shanghai, so it was more natural for all the players, really.
Yeah, I think my memory, if I remember correctly, Tokyo took place the week after Shanghai, and it also coincided with the first two of the 250s in Stockholm and Antwerp on the European indoor. So some players, the more the top ranking players, they may have already changed their attention to the indoor season at that point and not necessarily wanted to stay in Asia to play another outdoor hardcourt tournament. But so that potentially could have been a reason why it was a lesser field almost, and it was those players that could see the ability to sort of almost poach 500 points. Went to that tournament, and Ben Shelton was the one that came out on top. I believe that was his first ATP title as well, and it was a 500 level, which is a fantastic.
It was, yes. To pick up. He's defending the title he's defending a title for the first time in his career this week. Yeah.
He is, and it's. Now that the draw's really opened up. There was ground to say that he could put in a really strong title defense. I mean, it was unsure certainly at the start before the tournament started, it was even going to be seeded, and then got seeding, and then is able to have a bit of a run here at the moment, which I'm sure he'll be very happy about.
Yeah, and of course, in the meantime, we had the early break for Berrettini. That super long rally, basically deciding the entire game. Arthur then slapping a forehand breakpoint down. it was pretty funny yesterday as well, because even like 2 points away from the win against Fritz, he just goes for a forehand that's like 250, and Fritz is just standing there and saying, I mean, what am I going to do? And maybe it shows you that, well, this kind of game might never really be all that consistent. But hopefully this isn't, just going to be a match like this where Fritz just overhits everything. I mean, so far, definitely there's been promising points. But yeah, that one super long rally kind of killed him in the previous game. Was actually playing pretty well, right? To like keep himself in it, keep hitting through the Berrettini defenses, but eventually just couldn't do it.
Yeah. Although Matthew in here has asked the question, so the two ATP 500s are taking place at the exact same time, yet in Beijing they have all the big name players. Is it because they are paying much bigger appearance fees? I mean, I suspect that the appearance fees for Beijing are probably going to be higher than they are in Tokyo. But I think it's a lot. I think a lot of it will probably be quite tactical in terms of the players. Certainly those players ranked, 5 to 10. If they want to have a chance of potentially winning a title, they may have. Oh, we've got lost Damien for a bit. Hopefully he'll come back in just a bit. He's just gone off. Oh, and
yeah, my camera just unplugged. I'm actually on a different one right now, but I will switch in a second. But yeah, anyway, I mean, every single commitment player, so top 30 at the end of the year, they have to play an ATP 500 after the US Open. So, I mean, Sinner, Alcaraz, they need to play one of them. I think they still get an appearance fee because it's probably a bit of a race, as in like who gets them between these events and Basel Vienna. But I mean, neither of them is playing Basel Vienna, so they needed to play this week. In fact, unless, I mean, of course they can afford having a 0 on their ranking, but Sinner especially. But yeah, I mean, I think that there's definitely an appearance fee for Sinner and Alcaraz in there. But after that, Matthew, like it's not all the big name players. It's just Sinner Alcaraz, really. Like Tokyo has a better draw than Beijing. So I think, yeah, they probably just paid a lot to these guys and kind of decided to skip on the rest, which makes sense. They're going to get more coverage because of that, because of Sinner and Alcaraz. So I think about that. About the 10K bounce, yeah, it's just that one video that John said, basically, that really like got us over the line and is really raising the count. But I think I've said a few times as well that like organically you should be gaining more subscribers the more you have. Of course, up until a certain point, like there's also saturation of market and stuff. But yeah, the growth should be faster the more you have up until a certain threshold. And I don't think we are close to that threshold. But yeah, that one interview seems to be like kind of the reason why we suddenly gained 300 subscribers in like 2 or 3 days. And yeah, Beijing, I think it just has Sinner Alcaraz. I don't think it has all the big name players. But yeah, for the event, it probably will be worth it.
No, I think also as well. I think maybe for some of the players as well, as you say, location may be quite a factor as to why they may have chosen Beijing over Tokyo. In terms of Beijing being a lot easier to get to Shanghai from.
But Beijing also is finishing 1 day later, right? So
yeah,
I think there are measures to kind of counteract that. Like Beijing, really, it's Sinner Alcaraz. Like the depth of the field is better in Tokyo.
But say Medvedev as well, just in case we got any Medvedev fans in the chat that'll be screaming, "Hang on a minute, guys!"
Okay,
sorry,
sorry. But I mean, yeah, sure. Is Daniil actually that much more of a draw than like? Well, I think the gap is bigger between Alcaraz, Sinner, and Medvedev.
Oh, what a forehand winner! Sorry about that.
Yeah, sure thing. I mean, obviously, it was very important here. Breakpoint down. And,
sorry, that was just a fantastic. I mean, literally, he like tucked him up, and Matteo just down the line managed to get past him there, and literally the small inside area.
Yeah, the ballet dancer footwork from Berrettini there. As he had to like run around it super quickly. And yeah, I was just gonna say that I think there's a bigger gap in terms of being a draw between Alcaraz, Sinner, and Medvedev than Medvedev and the other guys, really. So
I mean,
like
Fritz
and Hurkacz and everyone else. Yeah,
I mean, we know if we go into a match watching Alcaraz and Sinner against each other, which we hope we could potentially get in the final. I say that as somebody who's not going to be able to watch it because I'll be at work when that final will take place. But we know that we go into that match not really knowing who's going to win. Whereas if it was a match against Medvedev, we would certainly favour both Alcaraz and Sinner in that matchup.
Sure. I mean, Medvedev is not really like that considered as that much of a force at the moment. Of course, the US Open against Sinner, he didn't really perform to do his best standard in that match. I think definitely there's there's a part of me that just thinks, well, he has to get there first. He has to beat the other players, and yeah, we'll see after that. But for now, Sinner Alcaraz just feels very, very certain that like at least one of them will be in the final in Beijing, and then of course the one instantly becomes the big favorite to take it as well.
No, correct. Feels correct on that one there.
Yeah, there's more hammer forehands from Berrettini as well, with again just some insane footwork.
I tell you what, I do like that they were saying on commentary as well that they've relayed the court recently in Tokyo, and it does look really nice and crisp on the ground. I know it's a weird thing to sort of comment about, but it does look. It just strikes out as a really clean, professional looking court.
Trying to remember how it looked last year, but yeah, I think that the coloring was a little different, right?
I think the coloring was the same. It was just more in terms of because they've relayed it and they've repainted it. It just looks so much sharper. As I'm going down this, he's gone again. He's gone again. I think I've gone again. Oh no, I'm still here. Oh no, Damien, you are there. It's all changed around on where people are on the screen. I got a little bit confused there.
I am here. Yeah. Yeah, the US men all opt for Japan, and actually in the last couple of seasons, 3 out of 4 finalists in Tokyo have been American. Shelton, of course, he's gonna play Tokyo 2022. Fritz and Tiafoe in the final. Giron makes the semis last year, so obviously he's gonna play Tokyo as well. And it's quicker. It just makes sense, I think.
Yeah, I forgot about Giron's little semi-final run. He beat a couple of big name players as well on that thing, and people are like, oh, maybe Giron's going to be.
Should have beaten Shelton.
Should have beaten Shelton. Yeah, he had match points, didn't he, in that match?
Might have had like one match point, but yeah, wasn't in a winning position. Like,
I think he was serving for. I think he was serving
didn't
for
get
it
over the line
completely
mentally.
fell away. Yeah.
Yep, that sounds spot on. Well, I mean, we'll see if Fierce isn't in more trouble here.
Yeah, currently, I may have just switched my iPad actually to make sure I'm on the right, we're on the right level, because you've got this super, on time system thingy majiggy.
And I'm not spoiling anything. I could also go for a stream that's slower. That's for sure.
No, it's all right. I've moved over to my iPad. I got that on. That's okay.
I mean, it's probably less convenient for you, and I'll just switch to a stream that's also on the computer, but a little slower.
Are you okay to do that? Is that okay? Just because it's a bigger screen, because I've got an iPad, I've got my iPad, and I've got my laptop, and the laptop's got a bigger screen, which I know makes me
exactly. Yeah, that's why it's better if I switch. That's why it's better if I switch and not you. Yeah.
Thank you for that. I mean, that's very considerate.
That's no problem whatsoever.
It almost makes me sound like a bit of an old man now. I need a bigger screen so I can actually see what's happening. No, but we are 30 all at the moment, at least on my screen. Just so Feast here is trying to make sure he doesn't go a double breakdown, because against Berrettini you probably would say, and he is now facing he now double faults. Geez, like the level is not here at the moment from the young Frenchman. But like I say, he doesn't want to go double breakdown against Berrettini. That's pretty much a death wish in terms of trying to win the set because of that serve that Berrettini possesses. But it's just one of those things with Rafis. It's just that consistency. It's probably the reason why he's not been able to make that breakthrough into sort of, okay, he did make the top 20 when he won Hamburg back in July, but since then he's fallen back out from that to around about 22, 23, 24 in the world. And it's just you need to have that consistency across a lot of matches to be able to make sure that you get that breakthrough into that deep into that top 20, into that top 10, which a lot of people, given his given his talent really that he possesses, thinks that he can achieve.
Yeah, I think even more so than like the ranking, it would be just amazing if he got like a major, 80,000 / Grand Slam result. 4th round at Wimbledon, it was progress, but it wasn't quite that yet. And then he keeps running into Arnaldi at every single slam.
Oh, what a forehand winner from Berrettini. Oh, no, yeah, forehand winner by Berrettini, and that gives him advantage.
Yeah. Again, like he's trying to approach to the Berrettini backhand, but Berrettini is moving away from it super quickly.
It's just like, you keep trying to tuck me up in the corner, and I'm just going to run around this backhand to have it as a forehand, and I'm going to caress it past you. Forehand, cross court by Fils. Oh, up in the air by Berrettini. Smash from Fils. Oh, but it was a dinky smash. It was like it was a close to like an Alcaraz type smash.
There's some renovation work next to me. Hopefully you don't hear that much of it. If the drilling is gonna come back, then I'm gonna mute myself. But
is that the 15,000 seater stadium you're building next to your house there, Damien, to get like some?
No, it's just the neighbors doing some window work, I think. Because funny thing, I'm not gonna have an elevator in my block of flats for the next 2.5 months. Which could sound very scary because I live on the 7th floor. Wow. But I actually haven't used the elevator in a few months anyway, so I don't care. The worst thing that could happen if I was going to move out in that period. But otherwise, I'm fine. So.
Jeez, 2.5 months without an elevator. Or a lift, as I call it.
Yeah, that's pretty long. And I think there are a lot of old people in my building who are going to be like grounded because of that. And that's, yeah, I mean, I'm not the problem. Even though I live on the highest floor, I'm not the problem. They are. And I don't know, really. I mean, I have no idea how to fix this because they're going to be, getting a new lift, as you said, in. And sure, that's fine. Like the one we have here is very archaic, but I don't know. Can you really keep older people for 2.5 months inside their homes? Maybe they're going to organize some sort of help. Like, I don't know, maybe someone from the administration can, I don't know, buy produce for them if they want, or I don't know. Yeah, again, there was a time in my life, certainly, when I would have been angry myself because it wasn't usual for me to walk 7 flights of stairs. But yeah, I decided to just start not using the lift at all the last few months. So now I don't care. But, 2.5 months is a pretty long time, that's for sure.
No, I've got to imagine now, like your flat where you've got like a little basket of food that's like you've been like hoisted up through the middle part of the stairs.
Yeah, we don't even have that. Like the old I don't like to call it like a tunnel for garbage or anything like that. We don't have that either. We were on around floor 7 or 8 in Porto. Yeah, like 7, 6, 7, something like that. Definitely not 8, 7 or 6. Yeah. And I also did not. I actually took the elevator once when we were entering the building for the first time, along with our Airbnb host Rui, and yes. John says he's mixed floors and elevator. Nah, I mean,
like
if by mixed you mean like you went like one time through the stairs. 50-50, yeah. I mean, for sure. Maybe going down. Maybe you went down with the stairs and then went up with the elevator. I don't know.
was going to say, was that the 50-50? You go down the stairs but up the elevator.
Maybe, but I don't even think that was true. So he's definitely lying to you guys here, but well, wouldn't be the first time. Yeah, we only came back a couple of times together, but I still remember a lot of instances when you were taking the lift and I was just like, yeah, no, see you downstairs. So definitely not, John. Not 50-50. Anyway, when we sorted out these issues, yes.
So that was a lovely little a little passing backhand there from Arta.
Now it's Berrettini thinking, if I'm gonna like just give him a ball to his backhand, he's probably not gonna pass me.
But it's like just watching like this big gazelle at the net when it comes to Berrettini. Sometimes it's like, is it really a place you want to go? Oh,
I mean, it definitely is in this matchup. Yeah,
channeling is in a Maxine Cressy here, Berrettini, with a couple of these approaches.
Well, I think both of them he kind of had to, right? Like it was pretty forced by the ball that he got.
I mean, I'm a fan of people coming forward. I mean, not to the extent of Cressy. I can't stand him, really, to be honest.
Okay.
I'm not to be unfair. I just can't stand that game. It's not tennis. Well, it is tennis. I don't know. It's big serve. It's a lot of double faults. He comes to the net and he's bloody irritating. It's like, yeah, come forward from time to time, and it looks all lovely when you don't do it, when you mix it up and whatnot, but not every single sodding point.
I take it you were not a Wimbledon fan in the 90s.
Oh, well, I was only born in mid 90s, so lucky I didn't have to watch any of it. Well,
I mean, me neither, but of course, yeah, that's kind of what we always say about these days.
That was excruciating, Tom. That match between Cressy and Chonsky, that final qualifying match for the US Open, because first of all, Cressy was making so many unforced errors in that first set, so Chonsky won it quite easily. And I thought, this will be what Cressy will do. And then he becomes a goat for the next set and a half. Pretty much then goes to serve for it, and then absolutely falls apart again. And of course, Chonsky likes to make a lot of unforced errors, which also helps make the match quality.
Do we think Osaka and Leila Fernandez will win their matches, both in action right now? I mean,
let's have a look. Let's have a gander.
Peyton is serving for the set.
That's a good start. Not a good start. Sorry, scratch that.
And Osaka is down.
I mean, Putintseva is a little powerhouse, so she always finds ways of beating big players.
Yeah, I mean, she's quite nasty to play. That's for sure. And well, you gotta play at a certain level of patience and shot tolerance to be there. So, well, it's still up to Osaka, I think, for the most part, right? Whether she wins or not. Like, it's her quality that decides the match, but you have to perform at a very good standard to beat Putintseva almost every time. And
well,
yes,
now that she has the super coach that is Patrick Moratoglu. You can tell the sarcasm in my voice. That's brilliant, people who are listening in. Then she should absolutely be fine. She will storm through it. Takes one look at Patrick, he gives a little wink in his eye, and that's it. You know exactly.
What was the gesture that he made to Serena that Carlos Ramos gave her a coaching violation for? Something like that. I think of something like that. Anyway. Now he, of course, has more freedom in terms of what he shows to the player.
Oh, yeah, he can now talk to them.
He can even talk, yes.
I mean, if anything he says is useful or not is another matter, but you can talk to them. All I say to Osaka is don't trust any medicine he wants to give you.
There was a quote from Osaka like a couple of days ago where she said, like, before she got to know Patrick, she didn't know if he was a good coach or if he was just Serena's coach. And that was pretty funny. But, well, it makes sense, I think. If I was coaching Serena, we probably would have gotten 15 slams as well. Like, it's
Oh yeah, I mean, I'd ride that for the rest of my life, really, if I was the coach of Serena Williams at the time she was winning all the slams. Yeah, I know. I know how to coach a Grand Slam champion.
I coached Serena Williams to a Grand
Yeah.
Slam title, and well,
Yeah, that Aussie Open back in the mid-teens. Yeah, that was me. Oh, Berrettini won't be happy with that one. Got to the net just in enough time, but on the drop shot back, he clipped it over the net and went further along. That's a good point actually that I think John is making in the chat, which is okay, Patrick. Go take some player ranked 100 odd in the world, 150 on the world. Let's see how up the rankings you can get them. Let's see if you can actually coach these people.
I mean, Patrick is doing some micro coaching with these people, right? I mean, when they are at the academy, like, it's not like he is not involved in any way. Of course, they have their own coaches from Muratoglu Academy, but like he shows up from time to time. I mean, I wonder what their input sort of is on him. Like, I don't know if we ask like a Mark Layal, for example, what does he think about Muratoglu? And of course, we wouldn't be able to get this answer from him in general. I'm saying, like off the record in 15 years, for example. Like what do you think about Patrick?
I mean, it's one of the things because he actually does hire really good coaches in his academy. I mean, that is objectively what you can see that the players that have gone through it and the main coaches that they've had. And his academies as well are world class. I mean, I've watched a few videos of seen some of people who have gone there, and the facilities that they have are second to none, especially the ones certainly in France and the ones in Greece as well, just absolutely fantastic. If I was a young up and coming tennis player, and then the big question is actually what would Patrick provide to a current player who maybe has not been in that academies or in the Muratoglu system, and would they be able to get them to a better place?
Yeah, that is very much unclear. But yeah, certainly I agree that like if you're a young player, sure, the Muratoglu Academy is the place to be as well. So
I mean, it's bloody expensive. I've seen the prices they've charged for a week, and it's eye-watering.
I mean, depends. Like, if you're a real prospect, I suppose you probably don't really pay that much for it, right? I mean,
yeah. I mean, it's a weird one because I guess a lot of the bigger federations, like the LTA, like the FFT, other federations, and the USTA, all those ones will be able to fund their own players for their own academy type systems. But it would be certainly those players, like a Steph Tsitsipas, which came from a country that doesn't necessarily have a national academy, a national federation who can look after young tennis players, who could get a lot of sponsorship, being such a young, huge talent, who going into a Muratoglu type academy could work really quite well for.
Is the arena a packed house for Osaka? Did you check that? Actually, I don't think she was playing on the main court, right? So
she's on the Lotus court, isn't she? Which is the second court.
Yeah.
So it just shows how many big matches or supposed big matches there are in China, in Beijing, because Alcaraz and Medvedev were put on the Lotus court as well today. I mean, granted,
was Alex Molchan out when Vida took him on, by the way?
Say that again?
Was Alex Molchan outside the top 100 when Vida took him on, really?
I think he was, wasn't he?
I think that might have been after Molchan was already in the top 100, but I don't know. Let me see. Because I think I remember more or less when Molchan broke through, and I'm not sure that happened. But of course, I mean, still, it was still a jump. It was still a jump.
Yeah, I mean, it's a shame that Molchan's sort of fallen away a bit. I mean, I remember him in my only real memory was a couple of good clay court runs, but then also the final he played against Norrie in Lyon in 22. And it was, he really showed himself well in that match, Molchan, and I really thought he was going to, jump on from there.
Yeah, I think that from what I'm reading right now, Molchan was already after his first ATP Tour final when Vida started working with him. But yeah, of course, still a jump from Djokovic to Molchan. Well, personally, I think that he probably was not quite as good as the 3 ATP Tour finals he made. But of course, right now, I mean, he's also not fit, and yeah, it's it's also like a prerequisite to his game. I think that he's in physical shape, that he's super fast around the court, and when that's missing, it's been a struggle. So maybe Muratoglu should take on, one of the younger Frenchmen, like no one with some insane potential, but I don't know, like Kyrion Jacquet or someone like that. And it would be fun to see if he can do something.
It'd be interesting. Do you know what would be a really good case study if you could take on somebody like Van Ash?
Yeah. Someone who got to an amazing level early, but now has like zero opportunity to progress seemingly, and like really is a bit stuck. Yeah, that would be perfect.
It's somebody which a lot of the French, certainly a lot of people in the French tennis scene were saying this kid's going to be something. As you say, broke onto the main tour, started to have a couple of good wins, but just fallen away really. I mean, it's just become cannon fodder whenever he's been on the main tour.
I mean, I think the only people excited, like initially, about Van Ash's talent or Van Ash's chances on the main tour were the people who just literally watched the results, not the game. And I mean, of course, he was getting amazing results for his age, but the questions remained, and so far the questions are sustained. So yeah, I mean, definitely a guy who needs some sort of new spike. I was recently talking to someone, maybe I won't say who, but there was a similar thing with the Brew apparently last year, where they also were like 15. At 15 he was already so good, but how do we go from here? And they just sent him to Piatti for like a couple of months, and he apparently provided this like new spike that ended up being, so far at least, groundbreaking for Gabriel, who's done a lot of good progress this summer.
No, I agree with you on that one. Tell you what, I was speaking to somebody else who's making good progress. I'm just keeping an eye on Jake Fernley in Orleans.
Yeah.
And he's currently 6-1 4-love up against Gigante. I mean, he's done fantastically well on the Challenger circuit over the last 6 months. Already has 3 titles and looks set, hopefully, all looking good to go deep in a 4th one.
Yeah, I mean, 6-1 for love. He actually beat like 7 Frenchmen in a row in the last 7 matches. Now finally not playing a Frenchman. But yeah, in total, I mean, that would take his Challenger Tour record this year to like 21-1 if we count main draws. If we include qualifying, 23-1. So yeah, I mean, it's just ridiculous, obviously.
It's I'm really excited. As a Brit, I'm really excited. Certainly the progress that Jake has made. I mean, he only really came onto the Challenger circuit back in June, and is already now, looking at potentially breaking the top 100 if he wins the tournament wins Orleans at the end of the week.
Yeah, I think, Matthew, also what you're saying about doing it for free for the stars. I think it definitely happens. I don't know if with Patrick, obviously I don't have that inside knowledge, but if you're Carlos Alcaraz and you're like 16, for example, and Muratoglu you want to train at the Muratoglu Academy, like you wouldn't be paying for that. You simply wouldn't. And
all you have to do is agree to having a few photos here or there and whatnot.
That net court went in? Oh wow! I thought the game is done. Okay, but we're still playing, and in fact, it seems like we might have a breakpoint for Fields. Oh yeah,
we're going for the smash. Yeah, Fields has now got a breakpoint to break
40-30 for Berrettini. There was this passing shot that I thought was out, but apparently, I guess it clipped the net and went in. But yeah, earlier he opened up like a 15-30 opportunity with a great inside-in forehand. So things are happening right now for Fields in this game. Let's see if he can actually convert.
What's cool? Slice. Oh, not good. And that's it. The break is back. We're on serve again.
Yeah, needed another one of these insane forehands from the backhand corner, but this time didn't get it. Stearns took that first set. Also, Volinets, so Nurlan will be happy, is serving for the first set against Kostyuk. And Osaka went down a set indeed. We have a bit of a break in the ATP matches in Beijing. Only 2 more coming after some of the women will end. Rublev, Carreño Busta, and Davidovich Fokina, Zhang. And of course, here in Tokyo, Fields Berrettini, and then Vansh's favorite, Vansh's body,
Yeah.
Hugo Humbert, because Vansh
San
studied
Diego.
in France as a kid, and Hugo Humbert is his buddy. They played piano together.
Who do you think will win that match? Interestingly enough, because between Nakashima and Humbert.
I think, the ceiling is definitely higher for Humbert. If he just plays like some pretty good tennis on the day, he has the chance to win this, definitely. But Brandon is super steady, reliable, will serve well, will keep the ball deep down the middle. And every chance to win it if Humbert isn't like firing on all cylinders. Which, to be honest, in the last few months isn't really happening for him for the most part.
But say it feels like ever since Dubai, he's kind of fallen a bit off a cliff in terms of the results. They're not necessarily being as great as I thought they were. I mean, that February period he had, with Marseille, Dubai, and whatnot, he looked basically unplayable at points.
He did, yeah. Marseille, definitely a couple of matches where that flutter ball, he was just like, almost unbeatable. And I guess it also lasted longer. Like it was like more or less from October to February that he had like a real peak. But yeah, right now he's back to just being a high ceiling player, but not really delivering every single day. Well, somewhat similarly to his compatriot Arthur Fils, who, however, is leading 5-4 now. And
it's now looking. I would say certainly the favourite to take this set, just with how the form's going at the moment.
Yeah, with the momentum, he does kind of look just more confident now, more imposing. Maybe he can actually turn it into a set, yes.
Turn it into a contest, as they like to say. Ish.
That 6-1-5 love from Fernley, though. Jesus.
You've just seen it now as well. It's like, I love. I mean, like you say, there was that great match. What was it? Did I say great match? It was the bizarre match where he beat Benoit Poirier in 38 minutes.
Yeah, but Pair's effort in that one was.
I mean, at that point, I was a bit worried for Fernie actually because he got given a Wednesday start, which would have meant he would have to play 5 games in a row. So to have your first game only been 38 minutes, it acts like a bit of a warm up more than anything else.
Yeah, he didn't actually play 5 times in a row. I would say, yeah. The first
4.5.
And in fact, I mean, the second round, I think he lost his first set 1-6 against Gueymar Weyenburg. So yeah, it was a weird event for sure. Also, the bagel start against Alice. But all in all, I mean, the win-loss record doesn't lie. Oh yeah, and he also went through the qualifying in Chicago, so that win-loss record is even sicker if you include qualifying, because you have to include 4 wins. So yeah, guess that's.
I mean, I think he's very much going to be a new embodiment of one of those players that if you don't feel ready to go onto the main tour when you're 18, going into that university college system. Also going into that, American college system is a very good way to go to sort of really build up your game before then going back onto the main tour in your early 20s.
It is, but then again, like how many players do what Jake is doing right now? Like, to this extent, I don't think I've ever seen it. So even if we have guys like, I don't know, like Kovacevic, for example, who like everyone knew that after college he was going to be good in the pros. Like it's not that sort of domination, it took a while. Shelton, I mean, sorta, but he only played 1 or 2 years in college. I think I don't remember if 1 or 2. So it's a bit of a different thing to Jake, who like barely played professionally over the course of the 4 seasons in college. Wasn't even like
backhand.
Sorry. Yeah, no worries. But yeah, wasn't even like top ranked in college, right? So I don't know. I think
Yeah.
sure it's a fantastic example, but I don't know if many players can really like follow it.
Like I said, I think for some players it works really well. But I think for Jake, and he's just won 6-love in the what was it, the second set, 6-1, 6-love against Gigante, and Gigante's no mug as well. So that's a good result.
Yeah, I mean we didn't watch that obviously. Maybe Matteo was injured or something. No idea, but
You
it's a
got a
pretty
good win
scary
against
one for the next opponents.
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of the seeds in Orleans got knocked out pretty early as well. So that's, I mean, there's only
Yeah,
one
I think there are only two are left by the quarterfinals, but the quality of the draw was like so insane anyway
Yeah.
that still, yeah.
Yeah, because Matthew's
it's still incredible.
Matthew's pointing out that one of the quarterfinals is Haddad Majetovic versus Mark Andrea Husler. I mean, that is just, I mean, that has like certainly like first round at a 250 or second round at a 250 written all over it.
They in fact played in a first round or a second round of a 250 this year in Gstaad. And they also played at the Salzburg Challenger this year. Hamad won both matches, but they were not easy. I mean, the reality is that, sort of answering Matthew's question, the reality is that Medvedevic's return game is almost non-existent. So it just makes it for a very tight match. Always, details decide, a few points here or there. Would like to think that Medvedevic is, I don't know, just on these pretty slow courts, like pretty slow in their hard courts, that he's very strong in that sort of slow-fast combination, if you may. But yeah, obviously Hisler is also incredible on his day. So I don't know if there's really a favorite in that one. I think like conventionally, probably it's Hamad, but just by a tiny bit. But yeah, actually even the bookies can't split them.
No, I mean, it's a weird one with Haddad Majetovic because I know he had some bad injuries at the start of the season, and a lot of people, certainly off the back of winning the next gen finals, are really excited to see what Majetovic could have done this season in terms of breaking himself onto the main tour, seeing what big results he could get, and it just hasn't really happened for him at this year at all.
Yeah, I mean, he was ill for like 4 months after he came back. It was a bit slow, but then again, he has that match against Rome, Medvedev in Rome, where like he's already looking pretty close to his best again. Roland Garros qualifying, he's like insane in that in these 3 matches, especially against Pui in the opening round. But after that, it's like slower conditions, more heavy against Koboli, and still a tough draw, obviously, in Paris. But yeah, it seems like especially fitness-wise, which was already a liability for him because of the illness and how weird this season was for him, like he kind of took a step backwards. I feel like obviously if he plays the entire season next year, if he plays especially in these next 4 months, he's going to break the top 100. In fact, it's not like even closed off for him right now. He wins Orleans and he's Orléans, if you want to pronounce it the French way, he is going to be very close to top 100 in the race. So, I mean, it's still open. It's still out there. Indoor conditions, very good for him. So towards the end of the year, I think he can still produce some results. But yeah, he's back to looking like very heavy-footed and, well, there are still concerns. But obviously the talent is there, and I think eventually it will turn into something. Just seems like because of the illness, he didn't really make any progress this year. In fact, maybe even took a bit of a step backwards.
It's a bit of that momentum killer, isn't it, really? You just come off the back of one of the biggest results, you're probably the biggest result in your career, winning that tournament. I mean, as you say, he was quite fortunate to the fact that he basically went to a tournament in an indoor hard court, and the other 7 players that he was playing against didn't really like indoor hard courts.
I mean, feels...
Well, certainly the conditions in that indoor hard court didn't suit Thies.
I don't agree with that at all. I think it was actually really slow. The surface in Jeddah, and it suited Fields, it suited Van Asch, it suited Medvedevic, the guys who did well. I mean, Stricker was also there. Stricker ended up getting injured, and like he retired against Medvedevic, I think. So maybe, but yeah, I don't think that the last year's lineup was that weak indoors.
I'm not saying that slowness. I think it's certainly for Stricker. I mean, Stricker when he played in the Milan next gen finals the year prior, really suited those quick indoor hard courts quite well as they were in the Allianz Cloud.
For streaker, yeah. But I mean, last year he was also injured in Jeddah, and he still like managed to crash Nardi. But yeah, I think a lot of these players actually are good indoors. Nardi is one of them as well. Vanash, definitely, and yeah, Fields. So I don't think that was really a thing that like the conditions were like specifically that much better for Hamad than for the other players. But obviously, yes, he likes slow indoor hard courts, so it's a good profile for him. Yes, like altitude clay or slow indoor hard courts. I think that's where he's at his strongest. It has to be like a pretty slow court because well, he's slow and he needs to get into position. But once he's in position, boom, and then of course the serve is also so booming. So like indoors in the perfect like no wind scenario, that's also gonna be nice for him. So yeah, I feel like the results he had last year, the two ATP 250 semifinals in Gstaad and in Astana, like that's kind of really the epitome of perfect conditions for him. And you can add Jeddah as well to it, yeah. And there's a lot of events like this left, so hopefully the season isn't quite over for him yet. Well, let's see what happens here. He's trying to unload on a backhand down the line, but that does not pan out.
Yeah, Berrettini, backhand by Feast, backhand by Berrettini with a slice to it. Really going into backhand to backhand exchanges. Go around it, up the line, and out from Feast. Berrettini, love 15 love.
And when it comes to Basavaredi, Matthew, I would say that he has a lot of potential, but it's not quite clear yet because it's like a very complete game. But he's super resourceful, but at the same time, I don't think he's like really close to a finished product. Like there's still a lot of not even like work to be done, but just like figuring out because he has so many options. But yeah, soon he's also going to play the qualifying in Antwerp, the ATP 250. So that should be pretty exciting after flying over from the States. But yeah, I think Basavaredi is absolutely legit. Maybe the biggest sort of like 20-ish American talent right now, not counting Mickelson, Shelton, of course, because they've already broken through. I'm thinking of all these guys like, Svajda, Tien, Basavaredi, whatever. That sort of like group. I think Nishash might be the strongest prospect. But yeah, we'll also see if he comes back to college. That's, I think, kind of a decision that's in the making for him at the moment.
Do you think he'll go to college?
Huh?
Do you think he'll go to college?
I don't think so, but I mean, yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if he does. He's already had 2 years, I think, in Stanford, been very good both in college and professionally over that time. But yeah, given how heavy his schedule is right now and the sort of results he's getting, me personally, I think he won't go back. But we'll see. It might be this as kind of similar to the Diallo situation. Gabriel last year or like 2 years ago, actually, he had this spot where like he was already 230 in the rankings, and because he didn't play much in the first half of the year due to college, he basically had 3 Grand Slam qualifying appearances guaranteed. And I think if Nishash will have that, and I think he will have that, then maybe there's no point. But we'll see. Anyway, set point here. It's a pretty sloppy +1 forehand from Berrettini into the net. And maybe that all that momentum that we were talking about that Fields has gathered is going to pay off.
Yeah, you're still a bit ahead of me there by around about 10 seconds.
Earlier I wasn't. I think your stream might have like slowed down or maybe got stuck for a moment, because earlier we were like at exactly the same point.
Yeah, because I've got ball bounce, about to go hit it up in the air, and he does so now. Cross court, backhand by Thingy, backhand down the line by that was do or die on that backhand there from Berrettini. He just gets it on the line.
Best backhand down the line of Berrettini's career.
And he just like boom onto it. That was excellent, that backhand.
If Matteo had that shot in his arsenal, he would be I don't know if a Grand Slam champion, but he would have a much more consistent career across all surfaces. And, just more achievements than he has at the moment. He could have beaten Nadal at the Australian Open if he had that shot. But then does he beat Daniil? Probably not.
Oh, that's a wild backhand from Feast on that point there. So that makes it advantage to Berrettini. So he's looking to get it to a tiebreaker.
Yeah, didn't really drop the ball on the break
is
point.
Berrettini okay there? Although it looked like he was muttering to his
is there
team while
anything?
pointing to his rib.
Okay, I didn't see that. Oh yeah, he's also like stretching right now a little bit. Yeah, seems like he's not like, well, not feeling particularly great at the moment.
He's looking a bit clumsily. Oh, don't tell me that we've got to have a problem with the abs again.
Yeah. Anyway, we are into that tie break. Fields didn't really drop the ball on the break point, definitely not. Although the deuce one especially could have been much better. But well, whatever is going on with Matteo right now, it doesn't really seem to be impacting his play all that much.
Oh yeah, early mini break to Berrettini. 1-love.
Keen, is that in reference to something I said or just in general? I mean, in Chengdu, he was just tragic, absolutely tragic against Fajing Sun and Hanfman. And at the US Open, Echeverry, just like the way he handled him there, it was just a total, like, just picked him apart. Otherwise, sure, I think otherwise his matches have been okay. Today, he was definitely fine. Just didn't take these break points in the last game of the first set, which really decided the whole thing. But I don't know if this is something I said.
I think we need to give Impeshi Pericard the whole year really to see how because he only really actually came onto the main tour in May. We need to give him the whole year to see how he can cope with all different surfaces and all different surfaces changes.
I mean, he should be more stable than Chris Eubanks. The question is how much more, mostly.
Sorry, Damien, you broke up a bit there.
No, I just said that he should be more stable than Eubanks. The question is by how much.
Yeah, unfortunately I've got none of that, but then I'll take it as you agreeing. I hope so, at least.
Yeah, I mean, I know what I feel like I know the limitations and the ability of Giovanni Impechi Pericard, so I don't really know if there's anything I kind of needs to wait to see. Like, obviously, he's gonna have some inconsistency drawback in his game, and yeah, the last few months he's not doing well. But there will be tournaments when he just fires up and everything is landing and it's all better. Maybe he recovers that higher margin approach from Lyon as well. We'll see.
Yeah, it'd be interesting certainly if he gets see how he responds maybe to a quick indoor hard court or whatnot to see if he can really sort of make hay with that huge serve of his that he has.
Antwerp last year he made the quarters.
Exactly. I know it's a really niche thing to sort of complain about, but I really hope they change the camera angle back to what it was in Antwerp. It's horrible last year.
I don't remember, to be honest, what it was last year, but I definitely did some streams. Tsitsipas Bublik, Tsitsipas Fields, I definitely did, so I must have watched it. But
basically, for me, it was way too low, unbelievably too low. You had no idea. Oh, now we're back on serve.
If you're saying it was way too low, then we're not going to agree on that because I would like it to be as low as possible.
Somebody wanted to see actually where the ball landed on the other side of the net.
I don't give a damn about that. Like literally nothing. Like I do not want to see where the ball lands. I want to see the shots. I want to see the actual experience of sitting behind the court.
Yeah. I really feel like I've been dug into a corner here on that one. But when it comes to certainly like seeing how the balls go. But I think it's just because it was like it wasn't too low where you basically could see all the different heights of the balls. You couldn't see that, but it was also wasn't high enough where you could actually see what was happening on the other side of the court. It was like the Goldilocks zone, but like the worst version of the Goldilocks zone.
Some people like strawberries, some people like pork chops. I'm definitely in the low angle box. Anyway, Berrettini, from having a mini break, he is now down a mini break, losing 2 rallies basically with some pretty lousy errors, I would say. That slice a second ago. But then again, if he's not feeling right, then of course he gets a pass on that a little bit.
Right, can Feast take advantage here? Backhand by Berrettini, backhand. Oh, okay. Back on serve.
Yeah, I mean, both players are kind of desperate not to be ahead right now. They're doing all they can to be trailing. Oh, James is out. Okay, sorry, didn't realize. Anyway, well, just as I said it, Fields basically made a forehand unforced error that well, just proved my point earlier that no one is kind of willing to lead right now. Berrettini had a mini break again, and now he has in fact played a drop shot that Fields tracks down. So it's like 5 points in a row won by the receivers right now. It's not quite Kozlov Young territory in Indian Wells a few years back, but it's getting close to it. Matteo with the slice here, that's pretty funky. Goes inside in. Fields should be able to catch it. And now Matteo is approaching, and he's gonna win the point. I have to say, probably not good enough on the backhand pass from Fields. Matteo seems to be a little hampered indeed by whatever physical issue it is. And to me, this point just kind of looked like I have to end this. I have to just slice it, run into the net, and it was good enough to win. Fields just, well, it's interesting how he's approaching this set point defense now. He's like clenching his fist even before the point began. That's pretty wild. But anyway,
Well,
yeah, set point for him. Hello.
Sorry about that, Damien. My
No worries, no worries.
Thing just went. I'm gonna stop, and why are you stopping? Don't stop.
Anyway, yeah, set point for Bertini and Fields serving. Second serve too. He's made a couple of crucial double faults already in this one. Not this one, not this time. They're gonna be in that, backhand to backhand trade between two players with inferior backhands. Like that's a classic, I think, on a big point, where both are a little like, I mean, I don't want to risk too much.
Oh.
But now they're spicing it up, yeah. No,
through the legs, into the net, and Berrettini takes the first set, 7-5 in the breaker. What a rally to win that.
Keane sometimes likes to point out that, well, he doesn't like always agree with me on this, but I mean, Fields really should not have played that winner here.
He went for the spectacular.
Yeah, I mean, he had so much time. How can you play the most low margin shot in the sport really on this occasion and just basically throw the set away? I don't know. Of course, the big question right now as well will be how Matteo holds up physically. Like, he's clearly not doing too well. But on that 5-0 point, he just decided to throw it in, go to the net, won the point, and the last rally as well. Somehow saved himself with that lob. What a weird way to end the set, to be honest. Yeah, it was just gifts, as Matthew says. Both of them were gifting a lot to the other player in the tiebreak. But yeah, the last point, I mean, playing a tweener there, you just give the set away. There's no other way to call it. Keen to your question, I actually thought Tony Wu was younger than 26, so that's funny. Tiafoe maybe, actually, or someone like that, like someone who broke through at an early age, and well, you just think of them as someone who's been around for ages, but in fact they are still relatively young. I think that's where I would have to gravitate with that answer. I'm pretty sure there's more, but for now that's kind of like Shapovalov, Tiafoe, these kind of guys who simply like broke through early and have been around forever, but you still think of them as older players, sort of, because you've been watching them for a decade. Like Felix being 24, for example, right? I mean, that sounds pretty insane as well if you think about first watching him in like 2014 or 15, but it is what it is. So yeah, I think these guys who just broke through early. But yeah, I think Tony Wu, if you ask me about his age, I would say like 25, 20, well, maybe not 24, but definitely I wouldn't have thought that he's in his 30s. Yeah, that was something. And now there's a physio attending Berrettini. Matteo is going to lie down and some sort of attention will be given to his, I don't know quite yet.
To his something or other.
Yeah.
I think it's his ab. And this is not
seems
a
like
good
in that
sign.
rib area. Seems like it's something in that rib, abdominal area, whatever it is, waist, even hip. I don't know, but
this is more. I'm guessing if you're a Matteo Berrettini fan, this is a very concerning, just given the fact that this is a part of his body that he has had old injuries with in the past, because of his build, because of how big, how tall, and how his sort of chest and his abdominal area is such a huge part of his physique. It is an area of the body that certainly on the tennis court has the ability to get injured quite easily, and it's something that he's had to fight with for many years during his tennis career, and it looks as though it's back with a bit of a vengeance at the moment.
Yeah, I think it's the same in every sport, Sean. Like, literally, if someone breaks through early, you just think of them as that youngster for way longer than they actually are a youngster.
Yeah.
Rooney, I probably never had that because, when I learned about Wayne Rooney, he was already like, a star, I suppose, or something like that. Has Rooney peaked? As a coach, maybe not. As a player, probably. In terms of his hairline, yes, as well. He definitely has peaked.
I think it peaked when he went to Turkey.
To get that operation done, or
yeah, it's a usual joke that somebody's gone to Turkey that used to be bald and then they come back with a great head of hair. And they're like, okay, we know what you were doing in Turkey.
If I went to Turkey, I would meet up with Nurlan, obviously. Beautiful man on the screen. Definitely more beautiful than the model that Matteo Berrettini is. But well, that model is still on the ground, and yeah, definitely seems like rib, abdominal, whatever. We'll see how painful that is. Definitely the pressure that the physio is applying seems to be bothering Matteo, but of course that's kind of what it is about as well. And well, I kind of feel like Fields is the favorite to win this match based on
Yeah.
what I'm watching, even though he just lost a set.
Well, Pegula's
Naomi,
looking
by the
pretty good
way,
against.
set point in the second set for her.
Yeah, I'm just having a look. Yeah, Pegula is looking very good. Looks like she's probably going to win her match against Diane Parry. Won next against Martha Kostniak, 7-5 and currently 2-1 up. That's interesting.
And Peyton is well pretty close.
Skramkova, the woman that is seemingly playing every single tournament deep every single week at the moment, is 4-2 up against Alexandrova.
Yeah, not only seemingly, she's very much doing it, and she still is alive. Actually got a day of rest yesterday, which might be what tips it in her favor today. We'll see.
I bet she woke up that day going, well, hang on, I'm not playing a tennis match today. What am I doing?
Yeah, she probably ran a marathon. Then some deadlifts, squats, and yeah. Later she can actually get to the court here, and we'll see. So far, doing well. Keen so far, they're not gonna play indoors in Lisbon. I mean, so far that's the plan, but as you can see, they actually already moved up some matches. But yeah, I mean, Lisbon is not an indoor event, of course, and they're gonna be trying to play outdoors, depending on how the courts are and everything.
I guess that's the risk with Lisbon that you take by trying to host an outdoor event going into what effectively is like the end of September, beginning of October. You could potentially, certainly for a country that's right on the Atlantic coast.
To be honest with you, like last year, there's also the Braga Challenger at the same time, and I don't remember these sort of issues whatsoever. So I think it's just like a one-time thing, really, for them. And
Okay.
also, I will say that actually, it's not as packed anymore because they removed all the quarterfinals. They're only going to play the second round today. Bertini always reminded me a bit of Tsonga, another man that suffered through injury. Well, I mean, no backhand, no return. That's similarities.
Oh, that's a bit of a poor dunking on Joe Wilfred.
No, but I think he's often used as a comparison in that sense that, how far can you go with significant technical flaws, and well, Joe proved that pretty far, and I guess Matteo has a somewhat similar career. I mean, one slam final, I guess it's a similarity, but of course Joe was at the top much longer, also had to battle against the big four at their best, also won 2 ATP thousands, which Berrettini doesn't own, so
yeah.
well,
I mean, I think also the biggest title I think Joe Wilfred has is the most loved Frenchman in Wimbledon. Absolutely adored he was at Wimbledon every single year.
Not when he played Murray.
Not when he played Murray. But...
Okay, I think the match is over. Yeah, Matteo just hit a ball out, and I think he's just walking to the net.
He can't do it anymore.
Feels as looks as displeased as Matteo is, basically.
Oh,
but
come on, yeah, that's what he's saying. Well, that's a real. I mean, that's from being the setup. It looks like the hip, or certainly the rib or the hip or the ab has gone. That's just a sad way for the match to end. This is not how I expected the match to end either. Well, the main thing is we would certainly say is that we hope that Berrettini recovers okay, or at least certainly this isn't going to be something too extreme. For a guy that has been plagued constantly with injury issues throughout the entirety of his career, and expect for him to come back and what we certainly saw over the clay court seasons, both in terms of the main clay court season and also the mini European one after Wimbledon. The titles that he picked up there and the momentum it felt like he was picking up. Let's hope this isn't something too extreme. It's going to take him out the sport for a long period of time again, because he's certainly beloved around the world as a player, and yeah. Feast though will probably be happy that the Sounds finished at this only this length of time. I mean, I know he wasn't happy at the net, but I'm sure secretly inside they'd be pleased to get through to the quarterfinals.
Yeah, I mean, as we said, I think even after the first set was taken by Berrettini, I think that he was the favorite given what was clearly happening to Matteo, but it seemingly got even worse. So of course, yeah, it's good for him that he didn't need to play these next two sets, I suppose. He did not perform too well mentally today, despite, other than the fight back, where I guess he gathered all the momentum. But then the tiebreak was just a few gifts. The decision to play the tweener on the set points, that was absolutely horrible. Like, that's just should be punishable by something. I don't even know by what. Deduction of ranking points or a fine. But anyway, yeah, of course, it's good for him to get through just in a very unfortunate manner. I'm not saying, this means that even though he didn't play that well today, he is not like guaranteed to lose in the quarterfinals or something like that. Definitely not. It's going to be a very fun match between him and also one of the best young prospects right now, Ben Shelton. But yeah, it's the main story, of course, here is just Matteo falling apart again. And as you said, he was in very good form this year. In fact, there are only 3 players, I think, on the ATP Tour this year that have 3 titles or more. And that's Yannick Sinner, Carlos Alcaraz, and Matteo Berrettini, which is quite a group to be in. Of course, Berrettini's titles have all come at the 250 level, and these guys have won 2 stamps each. But still, it shows something, at least on clay and on grass, how strong Matteo can be when he is healthy. Hard courts as well, despite not having these titles maybe in his repertoire. And yeah, just unfortunate, but it's not the first time. So at this point, we also kind of expect it, which is pretty sad.
What
Yeah.
you're happy to Damien, I'm going to. We could cover the. Are you happy to cover the last set of Osaka Putintseva?
Well, I can stay on and I'll just watch Lyall blogs.
Cool. I know. What we'll do is we'll because we were cut short from what was a fairly entertaining match actually. We will move over. Quicker than you could do if you actually were doing it in person, as the distance is quite far between Beijing and Tokyo. We'll move over to Beijing to the Lotus Arena to cover what is the final set of Osaka Putintseva. If you're lucky enough, if you're tuning in today, you're getting what is it? 2 for the price of 1 Bog-off deal. You're getting a Bog-off deal at the moment when it comes to match coverages. I'd say that as somebody who's had to just taught that yesterday to my level 2 business students. So we're going to see if Osaka can get herself into the 3rd round. Putintseva is already storming somewhere. I think she's going to go change a racket. Osaka is already 1 love up and 40 love up on her serve. So already has the first break, which is a pretty good playing place to be in. And we're going to see if she's able to see this out. Of course, Osaka, as we were just mentioning at the start of the show, working with the new coach, Patrick Mouratoglou, and really looking at somebody who is certainly from this part of this region of the world, looking to really make sure she has a strong end to the season, and to make sure that maybe even try and sneak a seeding position for the Australian Open is something she would certainly like to achieve.
How far is she away from that? Actually, I didn't really look at that situation, but yeah, that would be a great goal.
Let me have a gander. Let me have a gander at that one. I think she's somewhere in the 70s, but don't quote me on that.
929, whereas 32
she's,
right now is 700.
She's currently 63 points. 63 points. That's the wrong. She's ranked 63 in the live ranking at the moment, with 929 points. And as you say, it's going to be having to get close to 1,700 points.
Yeah, almost
Season.
800 points. That is only really possible with like a final in either Beijing or Wuhan, really. So, yeah, I mean, if she wins it, obviously, yes. Keen. Just don't lose the belief, you know? You gotta trust. I think Blocks is the favorite today, but you gotta trust.
And the forehands from Osaka are strong at the moment. Just outpowers Putintseva, who is got a face like thunder.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like that 32 is that realistic, but then again, yeah, Osaka just picks up her game, has one great week. I think what was the difference really between like the French and the US Open is that when she played Świątek at the French, like even if she won that match, I wouldn't have believed that like, yeah, she's gonna make a run now. Like I think she would have had a weaker performance earlier or in the next round, in the next 2 rounds, whatever. But at the US Open, it didn't really feel like it. I feel like if she beats Muchova there, she probably just kind of takes over her spot and makes the semis or even more herself. So I think she is more capable now. If Volinets beats Kostyuk as well, that opens up the draw for Osaka. And it seems right now that Volinets will indeed beat Kostyuk.
Oh, that was wildly out there by Putintseva, and Osaka here is. I mean, that should have been a put away from the Kazakh, and she put it away, but not where she needed to put it away. And now that gives Osaka 3 break points to go a double break up, get that insurance break.
How about Glinka, Kim? How about Glinka? I think Glinka might be the second best Estonian prospect, rather than Tam. Although Tam is fine too. I like that whole group. They're pretty fun. Interestingly, I think Glinka doesn't even speak Estonian, as they were talking in English when I was at the same event with them.
What's cool? Forehand, or just a bit wild now from Osaka. A couple of balls that are sprayed along the baseline. That was kind of unnecessary, as well as it was the second serve from Putintseva she was facing there. On the tee, other line from Osaka, forehand by Putintseva, and it goes long. That was Putintseva throwing in an unnecessary unforced error. And there we go, 3-love at the moment to Osaka. So currently making her way potentially to the 3rd round here at the China Open.
Yeah, 2 breaks should be pretty huge. I think she was like 3-1 up in the second set before it got a bit more complicated. But yeah, 2 breaks. Can't waste that really. Of course, I'm not saying she will. She is. It's impossible, but can't as in like, well, gotta do it.
Gotta do it.
And who knows? Maybe then the seeding suddenly becomes a thing, for Australia. I mean, she would play Kostyuk next, but then like Goff in the 4th round. I think Osaka Goff would be obviously one of the most like hyped matches on the WTA tour right now. But it's also a very winnable one for her, just with the stylistical contrast and everything.
Well, Goff still needs to get through her 1st round match or 2nd round match.
Oh yeah. I mean, of course, it's not.
And then
it's not
and then she'd have to get through Katie Bolter. Ooh, that could be an interesting match. And then it'd be on to potentially Fonex or whoever, and then on to maybe Osaka. Basically, there's a lot of matches that still need to be played.
Yeah.
Lots of matches
for the set. I kind of want to see Frank Parks today as well. Generally, not the biggest fan of my compatriot in terms of her playstyle, but this contrast is very fun. Alvarez Garcia. What event is that? Let me see if that's a streamed ITF or not. Madrid W15. If it is streamed, I will post the link in the chat, Sandalia. But with ITF streams at the 15K level, at least, it's just kind of random. And yeah, I don't think you're gonna find a stream from that anywhere, unless the tournament is like kind of streaming it on their own on like a website or Facebook. Maybe you can look for that, but in most cases, it's just not gonna be there. 15Ks, 25Ks, if they're streamed, it's totally up to the event. Right now, we have streams from Rwanda, from Italy as well. Actually, both from Santa Margherita di Pula, but not from W15 Madrid. And I think, in fact, when Madrid hosts 15Ks, they're usually not streamed. I think there were some men's ones that I wanted to watch. So I think you're not going to find it. Best of luck to Naomi, says Sandalia as well. Seems like this game is pretty tricky for her, though, right?
It is getting a bit tricky. She's now currently love 40 down. So all this good momentum. Naomi's not really carrying it forward at the moment.
Andreeva and Schneider, they were like very deep in the Olympics, right?
Say that again?
I mean, Andreeva and Schneider, they went very deep at the Olympics, right?
They got a silver medal, didn't they?
I think they did, yeah. And they're playing together here as well in Beijing. So that's pretty fun. They are absolutely crushing Aoyama and Hozumi. Depends, I guess, on your how high you rate Aoyama and Hozumi, if that's actually a big win or not. But I mean, they're crushing them.
No, those two are working really well together as a doubles lineup.
Seems like it, yeah. It's their second event after the Olympics.
Interestingly, as well for Andreeva, I was listening to the Sky Sport tennis podcast, which they do basically these little like 13-minute, 15-minute bizarre little questions with tennis players. And Andreeva said in that one that her most happiest moment was winning an Olympic medal, winning the silver medal.
Don't hate that. I mean, she hasn't won a title, right? I mean, she won in Yasi, but like she hasn't won a big-ish title.
No, I mean,
guess
she goes
could
and
play
wins
Arena at the French, right? Like that's a thing she could have said.
But then, obviously, for her, the ability to pick up a medal and have that around her neck is such a huge thing for her.
Yeah, some Russian, or in this case, neutral athletes, they kind of said that the medal, feels worth a bit less. But clearly,
yeah,
not for her.
it was something certainly noticed that Russia during the Olympics tends to be quite a big force in terms of at least picking up a decent, a noticeable number of medals usually. And the fact that they just weren't there really in terms of as a nation. Even I know back in 2021 they were known as the Russian Olympic Committee or something like that, which was basically still like the Russian flag for the Russian athletes. But for them not to have a flag at all and not to have a federation at all, a lot of them didn't really. There wasn't that huge performance as we'd usually expect them to, and it was only really those big stars or say big top athletes that were able to get anywhere. Yeah.
There was a Russian mixed doubles final at the Tokyo Olympics, right? That was pretty fun.
Yeah,
Rublev, Pavlyuchenkova, and Karatsev, Vesnina. Yeah.
Yeah,
where Karatsev just played every single ball, right? Like he just took balls from Vesnina that were clearly hers, but he just he really trusted himself that day or that tournament.
Well, we're now back. Well, we'll say we're not. Naomi still has a break because you had that insurance break, but it is now 3-2 to Osaka.
Yeah, that doesn't sound too convincing anymore. And Shramkova also doesn't sound too convincing anymore, from 5-4 going to 5-6. But, the last few weeks or so, she's winning so many thrillers that I still wouldn't put it past her, of course, to win this one and win this set. And Volinets, 2 points away against Marta Kostyuk. That's a pretty big upset, I think, considering Kostyuk hasn't really lost to anyone, let's say, sub top 50 recently, I think, over the last few months. I think she lost to, obviously, Schneider recently. She lost to Navarro twice. It's been a while since she had a loss like this, I think. Świątek as well, Cincinnati, right? Yeah, in fact, I would say since June, since Nottingham. She lost to Daria Snigur in Nottingham, but after that, she only lost to Kasatkina, Keys, Vekic, Navarro twice, Świątek, and Schneider. So I think even top 20 only or something like that.
Yeah, certainly.
Yeah, I think it's only top 20 players, that she's lost to since June. So yeah, it's a pretty big upset for Katie if she can do it.
And Osaka just seems to be a little bit more locked in here on his service game. 30 love up at the moment. One backhand really good winner on the line, and then a served ace. Backhand. Oh, that was a bit wild there from Osaka with that backhand at the line. Putintseva was just doing a little fist pump. Goes in the air, goes cross court, backhand by Putintseva, and out it goes. And Putintseva, in her anger, decides to do the splits and whack her racket on the ground. But Osaka into the air, goes on the line, backhand by Putintseva, backhand by Osaka, backhand by Putintseva, or just about a very deep one from Putintseva. Forehand by Naomi, up in the air by Putintseva, and it's gone long on the baseline. An attempted lob did not work there, and Osaka 4-2. So she's back to winning a service game. It's currently 2 games away here, 2 games away, but Putintseva is still looking dangerous on the other side of the court. So she just takes another bad Osaka service game, and she could be right back in this contest.
Yeah, truthfully, Keen, I've never watched Alex Binda, but I've kind of gotten familiar with him the last 2 weeks, of course, with the Berkieta semi-final last week, and I know he beat Turnev today, so stopped a winning run from Yevgeny there. I think he also beat like Borosh last week, which was cool. But yeah, I've never seen the guy.
Oh,
I
double
don't know
fault
if he's ever played a challenger. Probably not, right? I don't think he played.
I think what's happening here, Damien, is that you're getting a load of players from literally God knows where in the rankings being thrown at you and asking if you've got an opinion of them.
Yeah, that's always like that with Keen, actually. But yeah, of course, it's something I'm glad about this because I kind of feel like whatever people throw at me, I'll always say something. It's rarely like I'm rarely stuck. So I also don't feel stressed when these questions come in because, you have to work really hard to make me lose my mind and be like, I don't know who you're talking about.
I just wanted to say to one of these people like, absolute no mark this player, absolute ITF Cadam fodder. First round, getting no further.
Yeah, Keen, that's interesting. I was thinking about this recently because I had this Twitter exchange with Noah Rubin before when he still had Twitter, and that was about a slice lob that Max Purcell played against Billy Harris. And I remember saying that like this shot feels very underused to me in the pros because like it's very easy to control the depth of it, but also easy to get height on it. So like why wouldn't you go for it more often? And Noah is like, okay, but in this actual point, and he was right about this. Like in this actual point, a lot of things went right for Purcell because Billy Harris like kind of was a bit late with his footwork, was leaned forward. Like okay, a lot of things went right, sure. And he said that Noah said that basically, like in most cases, it's just gonna get you back to neutral. And I'm like, isn't that good? Like, don't you want to do that when someone is approaching the net? I think you are kind of right that sometimes just going back to neutral with a lob is a good way of getting out of stuff where like otherwise you just hit a very low margin pass and usually you're not going to win the point. Obviously there's some sort of like balance thing, you know, you gotta know when to do whatever. Like of course it's a very individual case by case thing, but I think as a general thing I agree with that. Lobs are a bit underused. Yes,
I agree with you on that one. There's the amount of times I'm watching a tennis match and like you know, the player's gone to their net, it's pushed the other opponent out wide, and I say to that opponent, just go for the lob, and they try and do these like silly passing shots in which the player at the net's clearly going to cover. I'm like, why did you do that?
yeah, lob is a killer at the amateur level. At the pros, sure, most of the time you cannot really do much more than just getting back to neutral, as long as the lob is deep, obviously, because if it's short, it's going to get smashed. But yeah, I don't think going back to neutral is a bad thing at all. Depends on what kind of player you are as well, but for most guys. And also, I don't know if anyone is interested.
And there we go. Osaka has got the double break back. Putintseva just did exactly what you said. She went for the lob, but she just didn't actually put enough accuracy on it, and it went along on the baseline. And here we go. Osaka has gone to the chair and will be coming out to serve for the match, and to enter the third round.
Yeah, that's true, Keen, of course. And honestly, at the professional level too, if you have the choice, try to lob over the backhand side a lot more. It's not. I don't think it really changes in the pros. Like, unless they have time to run around, they're still going to struggle with it a lot more. So
it's good to see Austin, Texas's favourite Dave named coach, Super Dave, in the chat, giving us that insight into the lob as well. That's fantastic to see. And are you up at this time as well? More to the point, I mean, Texas is like 6 hours behind. Sure. I mean, it's coming to 6 o'clock in the morning. You know, kudos to you for getting up this early.
6:50, yeah. I actually started getting used to that sort of like waking up at that time, and today I woke up at 5:30 to watch the tennis.
It's an amazing thing. It's like during like January, my body clock gets naturally to go right. You're getting up at 5, mate. It's the only way you're going to be able to catch any of this tennis.
Yeah, I just realized honestly that like if I stick to what I'm doing right now, like if I stick to this, you know, industry or whatever, I will never sleep again. And you gotta be okay with this. In January, in December, you go into this like hibernation mode, and basically that's what you have to do. Try the forehand slice lob. It works great at amateur level. I feel like if I have the ball on my forehand, I'd still rather go topspin. Like, why would it work better than a topspin lob? I don't know. Like, am I actually going to be able to control it better? I don't think so. Whereas on the backhand, I think I probably can control it better than if I go for the slice lob, than of the topspin. But I think on the forehand, I just feel more confident. Also, it's actually 5:50 a.m. for you.
Yeah, about to say, because I know from where I am, Austin, Texas is 6 hours behind. So,
okay. Yeah, that's true. Yeah. It's 7 from me. Yes.
As a tourism teacher, I try and make sure that I'm able to understand time zones quite well.
I tend to misjudge time zones quite a lot. Like when I have to, you know, just basically set for a time with somebody else or something like that. I tend to screw up with that quite a bit. But also, I just didn't realize that Texas was a different time zone to the East Coast, which makes sense geographically if you think about it. But yeah, I know that the East Coast is 6 hours from me. Yes.
Yeah, the six. What is it? The United States tends to have around about, or at least for the mainland, it tends to have three time zones. Where the East Coast, like you say, is around about 5 hours behind me, 6 hours behind you, Damien. And then you go certainly Chicago's usually Chicago in that sort of western area tends to be
It's
-6.
four time zones, right? In the
Four
mainland
times,
US.
I just realized as well. Yeah, -6. There's also a -7, and then usually, usually the West Coast is usually 8 hours behind.
Yeah, Vanch is 9 hours from me. That's how I know.
Yeah.
But yeah, four in the mainland, I think, and then Hawaii has a different one. I'm not actually sure about Alaska,
Yeah,
but I suppose as well.
Alaska's certainly on the -8. Maybe LA is that West Coast is more.
Because I think there
-7.
are 6, so maybe the other is like American Samoa or something like that, or whatever, Guam. I don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think 4 in the mainland.
Well, I always want as Osaka here is serving for the match, goes cross court, goes down the line, backhand by Putintseva, backhand by Osaka, forehand by Putintseva, backhand by Osaka, long it goes, and they'll have a second match point. I must be going. We got someone in the chat who used to be live in American Samoa.
Oh, it's actually 9, I guess, when you really and you really go into it. It seems like it's 9 time zones in the US. Like Puerto Rico and US Virgin Islands also have a different one. But yeah, that's a mess. I mean, 4 in the 4 mainland. We were right about that, and that's the thing, I guess.
Yeah, there's Eastern, Central, Mountain, and Pacific. That's the areas that they usually couple them as. So Eastern is -5, Central is -6, Mountain is -7, and Pacific is -8. There we go.
Mountain, I've never heard that. Like I never knew that there was a name like this. Mountain time zone. Eastern, Central, Pacific. Yeah, I mean people use that, but
this is the reason why they didn't do what China did, which is decide to make the entire country, even though it's the same width as the United States, all one time zone.
Yeah, I know. I mean, it has to create some weird discrepancies in terms of the daylight and stuff, but
yeah, I think it really screwed over some farmers right out to the western points of China because they're getting up at times and it's already like brilliant daylight or something, and they're having to really rework their body clocks.
I'll let James talk about what's happening there, and then I will reply to the Shangbu question. And Serio.
Well, she's won, and she's won with a brilliant forehand. So brilliant work there from Osaka to win the match against Putintseva. Potentially a good draw, you could probably say, for Osaka facing the 21 seed in the second round, but it seems as though Osaka is trying to find or getting a little bit of form, is starting to be shown in the Asian swing. Of course, it's a much bigger Asian swing for the women as they are there for the full 8 weeks, whereas for the men, they're only there for 4. But yeah, it's looking good there for Osaka. Certainly a interesting match that will come up next for her. Before I start saying something I regret, let's actually work out who she will definitely, or who she is positioned to play in.
Katie Volanets.
There we go. Katie Volanets. She will play in the next round. So potential of certainly a winnable match there for Osaka to get to the 4th round. But she'll be very happy to get through that, especially after losing the first set. And as we said there, it is a great win for Patrick Mouratoglou, who, of course, was the mastermind behind this victory. Without him, she would have fallen to probably a 6-love, 6-1 loss. And we would have all been wondering what has happened. And the absolute greatness of Patrick Mouratoglou has shone through once again. Don't clip that and take that as a serious comment, by the way. But
proves his worth as a coach. Yeah, completely. And Serio, when it comes to that Shangbu match, I think that from the second set onwards, Bu was just really dominating physically. And yeah, just as Jerry got progressively more tired, it was just easy for him to kind of waltz all over him. But there's also that thing where at 3-love in the third 2 breaks, he started getting really nervous and things weren't coming as easy anymore. Jerry got to 4-all. So I mean, good on Bu to get through in the end. I think that's sort of that steady physical dominance that he really likes. Like, he really likes winning matches like this. I think that's one of his biggest assets, actually. It was so useful today because he's just a nightmare to play when you're feeling a little less fresh than usual. And last game, I mean, you still felt like Jerry was like he had a shot potentially because of how nervous Bu was, but actually he found 2 great serves to end it. So that was also quite crucial to just not have to play the points, because the points were at that point pretty tough for him because of the tightness that he was feeling. But yeah, in the end, of course, we knew that this match was probably going to be a little closer than it would be usually because of Jerry coming over from Chengdu and potentially feeling a bit more tired. Although it has to be said that Bu was also in Hangzhou up until Monday, right? So it's not that big a difference. But yeah, it's a great win for him. And who is he going to play next? Actually, I totally forgot, but I think it was someone like relatively winnable.
Let me have a look. Leave that to me, Damien. Leave that to me. Let me have a look. I am on the case and I am scrolling, and he will play Lorenzo Musetti in the second round.
Seems pretty open. I mean, he beat Khachanov recently. I think that Musetti is also going to be a bit more vulnerable on hard courts than he was on grass clay. Let's see him. Let's see how he can perform there. And that's it really from me.
That's it. Where is Patrick in the live rankings? We do not know. Patrick is number 1. I mean, he's number 1 in all our hearts, in how he goes. And we have to end. And we'll end the stream with saying, in Patrick we trust.
One more thing, though. One more thing that actually we have to end the stream on. Let's go, Brandon.
Let's go, Brandon. Unless he plays Jack in the quarters, then I am saying Draper all the way. But of course, Brandon, I suspect we've got a Vanch that is probably sleeping somewhere, or at least maybe waking up right now with a little smile.
I think he might be waking up for this match. He's on the Pacific time zone, and I think he might be waking up. I mean, it's 4 a.m. So maybe he will wake up mid match rather than for this match. But he could. I think Vanch might see like a ball from that. We'll see how dedicated he is to the fandom. Would you watch a Jack Draper match if it started at 4 a.m. for you?
Well, if it started at 4 a.m., I mean, I didn't wake up at 3 o'clock this morning. I think it's because I'm so used to those Hercatch matches being absolute horror shows, so I didn't want to see it. But I think Vanch is going to be that committed. I think he's used to having to get up early for tennis, but being on the West Coast, I suspect he's up right now. He's making his coffee with his Brandon Nakashima mug, making sure that his bedding with the Nakashima face on it is all creased out and make sure it's all fine. And he's primed in front of his TVs, all ready for Brandon and all those lovely shots that he's going to make Vanch smile.
I think that he will probably wake up maybe 5:30 his time, like in an hour or so, hour and a half. I will actually ask him on the group chat to tell us when he woke up, because that's very important, but we probably won't know it now. Vanch's obsession with Brandon, I mean, he knows him from like the junior days, sort of. He just really likes the guy. No, they're not related, but they are from the same area and basically the same sort of like tennis system. Vanch used to play some junior events as a kid, and Brandon was one of the guys he like kind of encountered there, and just thinks he is a very nice guy and roots for him. That's pretty much the whole story.
And I think the happiest I think anyone has ever seen Vanch was when Nakashima won the San Diego ATP title a couple of years ago. Indeed,
there are photos even of Vanch and Brandon. So.
Well, I've never seen a bigger smile on Vanch's face than in that photo. All right, okay, we'll end the stream here because I know that other people have got other things to do. And great to see you. We'll hope to do a few more as the Asian Spring kicks into full gear. Of course, we've got the end of these tournaments in Beijing and Tokyo, as well as the women's tournament to finish at the W1000 event in Beijing. And then, of course, we've got the Shanghai Masters. We've got Wuhan. All sorts of cool stuff is happening before the men go back to Europe for the indoor season and the women continue on to places like Tokyo and whatnot. And see you all.
Yes, SoCal area, Dave. Yes.
If you enjoyed this video, make sure you hit that like button. Don't forget to subscribe and click that notification bell so you don't miss out on all things tennis.